Hi, I'm going to discuss the Sustain 2 feature of the Kijimi. It's easy to describe, but it can be tricky to use effectively, especially if you're not used to it. Basically, Sustain 2 stops the release of all notes when a new note or notes are triggered. It doesn't affect sustain, so any notes that are held down will still be playing. Here's an example using a sound with fast attack and slow release. So what's the practical use of this? Well, it's not really useful on patches with no release, but if you're doing changes on chords that are very different, it'll prevent them from getting muddy. Like if I was going to change from a C major to an A minor 7, it won't sound so bad in sustain 1 mode because all of the notes in C major, C, E, and G are included in an A minor 7 chord. But if I was going to do a more dramatic change, like C major to B major, where it's a chord change and they don't share any notes, it would sound muddy with sustain 1. Whereas with sustain 2, it would stop those C major notes. Another use could be giving a monophonic effect within a polyphonic patch, because mono patches also stop the release of the previous note, but for a different reason. And maybe you notice since I was a little sloppy hitting my one note at a time, it creates some interesting duophonic harmonies that aren't necessarily intended. So all in all, Sustain 2 is cool and useful and fun, and I wish more polysynths had it. On the Kijimi, it can be set on a per patch basis, and personally I have it set to about 1/3 of my polyphonic patches. Well, that's all for now. Happy playing, everyone. One thing I forgot to mention is that Sustain 2 mode doesn't cycle through voices like Sustain 1 mode does. Here in Sustain 1 mode I have 6 voices selected and it cycles through all 6 of them with each new note. Whereas in Sustain 2 mode, it always hits voice 1 first, and then it adds voices from there. So if for some unfortunate reason there's a slight difference between any of your cards, say the filter cutoff, is just a slight bit off on one of them, and you want the most possible consistency, you could select Sustain 2 mode for that and put your best cards towards the front. Of course, that's just a band-aid towards until you could get the cards fixed, but that is noteworthy on Sustain 2 mode.